socialite and convicted murderer Rebecca Grossman is expected to be sentenced today. Grossman was found guilty last February in the hit and run deaths of two young brothers back in 2020. KTLA's Eric Spillman live for us in Van Nuys.
That's crazy. I've never heard of this woman. I've never heard of this incident at all.
Eric, good morning.
Morning, Megan. I was just upstairs in the courtroom, and the sentencing hearing is about to get underway up there. Rebecca Grossman has written a letter from jail to the judge asking for mercy. She says, "I am not a murderer." Meantime, prosecutors are demanding that she get the maximum sentence, which is 34 years to life in prison. You'll recall that Rebecca Grossman was convicted last month, actually back in February, for the deaths of Mark and Jacob Iskander, ages 11 and 8.
That's
Prosecutors say she
sad.
was driving her Mercedes SUV 73 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone when she struck and killed the boys who were in a marked crosswalk in Westlake Village. They say evidence presented at trial.
You know, I could just imagine what the parents are going through. I mean, I am so sorry that you have to lose. I mean, those kids have to lose their life. And here it is. I mean, I understand that she's pleading for mercy and all that different kind of stuff because she don't want to go through this type of, punishment. But I know for a fact that if it was me, yeah, I would want her free just so I can handle her myself.
Showed she had alcohol and Valium in her system, and
Mm.
that after the crash, she did not return to the scene or offer any help to the victims. At trial, her defense lawyers tried to blame Grossman's ex-boyfriend, former LA Dodgers pitcher Scott Erickson, claiming that he hit the children first. Well, the jury didn't buy that. They found her guilty of second-degree murder.
Wait a minute. So she said he hit the children first. So what does that mean? That they switched positions and then turn around and she hit him again? I mean, because in order for to say you hit someone first, somebody, got hit more than once. I mean, please let me know. Am I reading into this the wrong way?
And vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence. Prosecutors wrote in their sentencing memorandum to the judge that Grossman should get the maximum penalty. They say, quote, "The defendant has never shown an ounce of remorse for her choices. On September
Mm-mm.
29th, 2020, she's never taken a modicum of responsibility. Instead, she's only blamed others. She's blamed the victims, arguing that they were out of the crosswalk, jetted out in."
Okay, so let me get this right. You commit a crime, and instead of you taking responsibility like an adult would, you want to blame the people that you hit? Oh, where in the hell? Oh, what the hell is going on with these people? The f- Mm.
front of her car, and that their mother was careless in walking with her children across the street when it was starting to get dark outside. She has lived a life of privilege and clearly felt that her wealth and notoriety would buy her freedom. This was not a tragic accident, as the defense continually states. This was murder.
Let's be honest. Often enough, people with a certain type of money do get certain types of privileges to where they don't have to have certain types of responsibilities, like going to jail for committing types of crimes. But this type of crap actually bothers the hell out of me. Often enough, we see people over and over again living a privileged life and yet get away with so much. Let me know in the comments, are you tired of this shit as well?
Grossman is married to Dr. Peter Grossman and is the co-founder of the Grossman Burn Foundation, the charitable arm of her husband's surgery practice. Since she was convicted in February, she's been in jail and has tried and failed to get a new trial. Her lawyers are asking the judge to put her on probation instead of sentencing her to a prison for the rest of her life. They say she's a selfless humanitarian whose purpose in life is to help those in need.
So she's a selfless humanitarian that can't even take responsibility for what she did. Instead, she's choosing to blame everyone else. I mean, that does not sound right to me.
Grossman herself, in that letter to the judge, writes this, quote, "I am not a murderer, and I ask you to recognize that true fact. My pain, my recognition of the pain the Iskanders suffer, and the pain I watch my family endure are punishments that I already suffer."
So your letter states that you are not a murderer. That's how it starts off. If you're looking right there on the screen, I am not a murderer. And yes, you are. You were in that car. You hit those kids. And yet, instead of you taking responsibility for it, you are choosing to blame other people.
And will for the rest of my life. Please consider this suffering when you consider what more punishment to impose on me in this case. As God is my witness, I did not see anyone or anything in the road. I swear to you, I would have driven my car into a tree to avoid hitting two little.
So you could take responsibility enough to say you would drive your car into a tree, but you can't take responsibility enough to say I'm sorry for what I did to those kids.
Boys. End quote. We spoke to the executive director of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. She is here in court to watch the sentencing hearing this morning.
This was a 100% preventable crime. This was an individual who made a decision to get impaired and got behind the wheel of a vehicle. So we're hoping that justice is on the side of the victims because victims' rights really matter. And we need to do as much as we can to make sure that we get the message out that if you're impaired and you get behind the wheel of a vehicle, that there are consequences.
In the courtroom this morning, the family of Rebecca Grossman is present, her husband, her son, her daughter. Also, the Iskander family is also in the courtroom. We expect to hear from the parents of those two young boys. They will get a chance to make what's called a victim impact statement to the judge before sentencing later today. We'll send it back to you.
Let me know something in the comments. Do you feel that this woman should get the maximum sentence of 34 years? If you was the judge, would you give her the maximum sentence, or would you have sympathy on your heart for for what she done, or maybe for that letter that was given to you if you were the judge, and would you give her less time? Let me know in the comments exactly how much time do you feel that she deserves. Let's get involved.